Namaste. Namaste,
Yes.
Nilesh.
Namaste, Ma. Namaste. Shall we start, Mamata?
Yes, sir.
Yes. We are talking about Mr. or Dr. Morin. His observations was what we were going through in the last class. And he was talking about various aspects of all this phenomena. And then towards the end, what we covered was Dr. Morin says man is a microcosm and he carries a portion of the whole within him. Man is, he says, is a microcosm and he carries a portion of the whole within him. So Mr. Morin or Dr. Morin says that the spiritual sun shines for the souls and the material sun shines for bodies. The spiritual sun shines for the souls and the material sun shines for bodies. This is where we stopped the other day. So should we take it up from there? So the old points which I have considered, I don't think I should go through, because if you want, I'll cover it towards the end. But he has written so many things. So all these things are well discussed by us. But now we'll move towards the next paragraph of the book. The ignorant persons are interpreting wrongly the divine and its contents. The ignorant persons are interpreting wrongly the divine and its contents. Mr. Morin says, the study of science will destroy all superstitions and nonsense that is wrongly conveyed by the so-called religious teachers. So this is what he wants. True knowledge will definitely remove superstitions. That's what he means. The ignorant persons, people who are not well informed, the ignorant persons are interpreting wrongly the divine. They are interpreting wrongly the divinity. Also it is its contents, what it has within it. So Dr. Morin says, the study of science will destroy all superstitions and nonsense that is wrongly conveyed by the so-called religious teachers. So a lot of information by way of religious information, they thought that was being downloaded or it was imposed on the people, and they had no option. Simply they had to listen to, accept it. That was what people were asked to do in the good old days. So superstitions came in like that, and a lot of nonsense also got wrongly conveyed by the so-called religious teachers. That's what Morin is saying. The priests never allowed freedom to think and act. This is the reason how a lot of nonsense, a lot of superstitions found their way into the religious talk of the teachers, is because the priests never allowed freedom to think and act. So they forced people to accept the word. They forced the people to accept the word without murmur. Without murmur means nobody should question that. Nobody should even complain about it. So simply they have to accept it. So that's the reason why a lot of superstitions which have come into the religious content. So he starts off saying, today, the ignorant persons are interpreting wrongly the divine and its contents. The discussion about divine also is wrong, because the teachers have not been properly informed, the religious teachers. They used to say something which appealed to them as divinity, and similarly explain the contents of divinity as understood by them. So Dr. Morin says, the study of science will destroy all superstitions and nonsense that is wrongly or that was wrongly conveyed by the so-called religious teachers. So all the religious teachers who have, by sheer power they had, they wrongly conveyed so much of information which was part of superstition, part of nonsense. That's what Dr. Morin is saying. The priests never allowed freedom to think. They never allowed the general public to have freedom to think and act. No question of thinking, where is the question of acting? So the priests never allowed freedom to think and act. They forced the people to accept the word. Whatever they said as the religious word or religious content, that has to be accepted. They forced the people to accept the word without murmur. No complaint, no discussion about it, simply they have to take it. Mr. Morin further adds, we should correctly translate our inner voices. Mr. Morin is saying now, he is saying that we should correctly translate our inner voice. It is not possible for those who have a false spirit in them, meaning other spirits occupying and displacing our original spiritual intentions. So, we should be able to translate our inner voice. Means there is something which is being conveyed to you through the inner voice, and people should be trained, or people should correctly translate what exactly those messages are. It could be just messages. Maybe we'll have to put it into the language which we know. So it is not possible for those who have a false spirit in them. If they have their genuine spirit within them, it's easy for them to translate. But he says it's not possible for those who have a false spirit in them, meaning other spirits occupying and displacing our original spiritual intentions. So, either some other person is occupying, some other spirit is occupying, or you're not exactly able to recall what has been conveyed by the inner voice to us. So, as a result, what's happening is false spirit in them is occupying, or other spirits occupying and displacing our original spiritual intentions. So, when the original intentions are not known, definitely we are not able to translate our inner voices into words which we would like to follow. So that's what he's saying. So the Morin further adds, we should correctly translate our inner voices. It is not possible for those who have a false spirit in them, meaning other spirits occupying and displacing our original spiritual intentions. So the original intentions are prevented by the existence of other spirit occupying the person. So that's the reason why the inner voice is not getting translated. Right. The universal spiritual force from heaven blows on everyone. The universal spiritual force from heaven or from above blows on everyone. That force is blowing on everyone. That's what he is saying. The universal spiritual force from heaven blows on everyone, and those rays bring illumination and light to every conscience. Every conscience. So this is how the messages are received. The inner voice is made to talk or made to convey. The universal spiritual force from heaven blows on everyone, and those rays bring illumination and light to every conscience. Every conscience wakes up with the spiritual influence or spiritual force which is universal, which is coming down from heaven, and everybody is capable of receiving it. So the universal spiritual force from heaven blows on everyone, and those rays bring illumination and light to every conscience. Every conscience receives it. Every conscience is capable of actually translating it. But then some other spirit occupying, I will not be able to translate what I have received. So there is a difficulty in translating the inner voice. So this is what he is saying. When the light from the material sun is falling on the body, when the light from the material sun is falling on the body, and the spiritual sun shining its light on the soul when the bodies and minds or souls reflect equally. When the bodies and minds or souls reflect equally, this dual light will become one light, and people will be able to see clearer than they see now. So this is a concept which he is introducing, Mr. Morin. When the light from the material sun falls on the body, the material sun is for the body, the spiritual sun is for the spirit. That's what we have read in the previous paragraph. So when the light from the material sun is falling on the body and the spiritual sun is shining on the soul, when the bodies and souls, he has also mentioned minds, but mind and soul is not equivalent, but then in a flow he has used that. When the bodies and minds or souls reflect equally the power of the material sun and the power of the spiritual sun, the dual light, the light which has come from two directions or two sources, will become one light, and people will be able to see clearer than they see now. So this confluence coming together, when the body and soul, or in the body and mind, as we call in the Hatha Yoga, when they are together, we say it is yoga. Integration is yoga. Integration is yoga. So he is perhaps talking about that sort of a principle using the material sunlight and the spiritual sunlight. So he says, when the light from the material sun falls on the body and the spiritual sun's light is shining on the soul, when the bodies and minds or souls reflect equally. See, this is the most important thing. One light should not be more, the other light should not be less. There should be absolute good fusion there. So when the bodies and minds or souls reflect equally, this dual light, light from the material sun and light from the spiritual sun, this dual light will become one light, and people will be able to see clearer than they see now. So this is a very good concept which we are all familiar with, but Dr. Morin, who only lived till about 1687 or so, he is talking about it because he lived in the 17th century. But he is talking about this, and he says when the two lights, the dual light, it becomes one light, and people will be able to see clearer than they see now. So this is how perhaps an equivalent of what we call yoga, the body and the mind get integrated. The consciousness of the body and the consciousness per se, they become one. We say there is integration taking place. That is yoga. Right. Bringing body and mind together, the resultant inner light is called yoga drushti. Bringing body and mind together, the resultant inner light through which we can see very clearly is called the yoga drushti. And it will help us to see better. That's exactly what Dr. Morin also says. So when the light from the material sun falls on the body and the spiritual sun is shining on the soul, or the light is falling and shining on the soul, when the bodies and minds or souls reflect equally, the dual light will become one light, and people will be able to see clearer than they see now. So our sight will become more incisive. It means it can see anything which is there. Maybe we can see through and understand the content of an object completely because that fusion has taken place. That sight is a wonderful sight. This is yoga as we understand, bringing body and mind together. The resultant inner light is called the yoga drushti. It will help us to see better. Right. H.P.B. says, Blavatsky says she has translated from Hebrew. HPB says all this work of Dr. Morin was written in Hebrew. So she says she has translated from Hebrew and quoted the above fragments, because this is a letter or a paper which he has submitted, and that paper had so many other details also regarding spiritualism and the way the spirits operate and all the rest of it. So Mme.Blavetsky has translated from Hebrew and quoted the above fragments for our consideration. So this is what Mme.Blavetsky is saying. This is been translated from Morin's work, Journal Magnetize Me. This is translated by HPV from Mr. Morin's work, Journal Magnetize Me. So this is the source from where H.P. Blavatsky got all this information. And this gentleman, Dr. Morin, lived between 1614 to 1687. So he passed away in the year 1687. So he lived between those two periods, 1614 to 1687. So HPB says this Dr. Morin was a great Kabbalist. Kabbalist is again a person who have got a lot of connection with Jews. So HPB says he was a great Kabbalist, and Dr. Morin's friends say that he was truthful and honest person. This is just some information about the gentleman, Dr. Morin, Morin. This is the name of the person. HPB says he lived between 1614 and 1687. The particular paper which she translated was called Journal Magnetize Me. Magnet, ISME. That's the full Magnetize Me. And HPB says he was a great Kabbalist, and Mr. Morin's friends say that he was truthful and honest person. So this is the story of Dr. Morin. And he studied the ever-changing nature and the intelligences existing in the universe. What all he did, again, further description about Dr. Morin. He studied the ever-changing nature. Ever-changing nature. Nature always keeps changing. With every addition or deletion on the earth, the corresponding change also takes place in the nature. So he studied the ever-changing nature and the intelligences existing in the universe. So he spent a lot of time on that, studying the nature and intelligences existing in the universe. Subjective manifestation. Subjective manifestation. Those which we cannot see. This is called subjective. Subjective manifestation means those which we cannot see. These are manifested by good daemons. Daemons. We have seen this Daemons are a group of spirits existing between man, higher than man, but lower than God. So, subjective manifestations which we cannot see, they are manifested by good daemons. Daemons. I'm just repeating the spelling because you shouldn't think it is Demons. Demon is Dayam. We're not talking about it. We are talking about Daemons. This was the old belief that daemon is supernatural force or being between man and God. So this is being recalled again. I'm just putting it back again because we have considered maybe 2-3 classes before what is the nature of daemon. So I'm bringing it to your attention. This was the old belief. Daemon, Daemon, is a supernatural force or a being existing between the existence of man and God. So this is how we have to understand the daemon. We have heard about this in our previous study. Yes, this is just a comment which I am making. We have heard about this in our previous study. Sometimes these subjective manifestations are created by the planetary spirits. In the beginning, what was said? The subjective manifestations which we cannot see are manifested by good demons. This was the old belief. This is what has been related to us. Right? Then, who is a demon? We have understood what it is. And then now, the next statement says, sometimes these subjective manifestations are created by the planetary spirits. The spirits which belong to the planets, they do this work of manifesting something which is subjective manifestation, a manifestation which we cannot see with our eyes. So the planetary spirits also do it, is what it is being said now. And these planetary spirits are not related to us directly, maybe belonging to another race or region or sphere. So these planetary spirits, they are not directly related to us. The book says they may be belonging to another race. Maybe they have come from the previous race, or they come from a different region or different planet, and they belong to a different sphere. So this is something which we need to keep it in mind. Not only the subjective manifestation is done according to Dr. Morin by good demons, it also says even the planetary spirits not belonging to our universe, not related to us directly, may be belonging to another race or region or sphere. They also are responsible for these subjective manifestations taking place. Right. Then one more addition. Sometimes the nature spirits do this work. So this subjective manifestation is done by so many people, so many groups of creatures. One is supernatural force, demon. Then second is the manifestation done by the planetary spirit. And the third is the nature spirits. They do the work. Sometimes even terrestrial evil spirits do. Sometimes terrestrial evil spirits do this work. These terrestrial evil spirits or disembodied evil men, they do such in seance rooms. So this is the whole text. First, the demon is in charge of the subjective manifestation. Because whatever happens, for example, we are talking about the table moving. We cannot see somebody moving it, but we see the table is moving. But who is pushing, we are not able to see. That's why it is called subjective manifestation. We were told to begin with, it is done by good demons. And then, secondly, they said planetary spirits, spirits belonging to another planet, they may be doing it. So they are not directly related to us, but they're doing it. And third, nature spirits, maybe they are doing the work. They are doing the work. There is no maybe there. Sometimes the nature spirits do their work, do this work. Sometimes terrestrial evil spirits do this work. Terrestrial evil spirits do this work. Mostly, whatever appear in the seance rooms, whatever normally appears into a seance room are these sort of disembodied evil spirits. Normally. Rarely you will come across good spirits. But that's the reason why one has to be careful when somebody wants to get into or attend those sessions. Sometimes terrestrial evil spirits do this work, and these are disembodied evil men. They do such acts in seance rooms where black magic is practiced. So in the seance rooms, what is happening when you are getting in touch with these evil spirits? The person who is manipulating that is normally a black magician. So a good magician perhaps will not be able to manipulate that. A good magician, white magician, can only get in touch with a white or good spirit. But here, the black magician he is operating in the seance room. So he gets in touch with the evil spirit and the terrestrial spirit. They also do this subjective manifestation. So we can't see that what exactly is happening. Of course, we can see the table moving, but who is pushing? We do not know. But who is tapping the table? We do not know. But these are done by the various agencies which has been discussed so far. So this is where the black magic is practiced, says Mme.Blavetsky. These spirits, they call it as Daika, D-I-A-K-K-A. This is the expression given in the Hebrew language. They call it Daika, D-I-A-K-K-A. And we perhaps call it the evil spirits as Dayam, Telugu. I am using Telugu, Dayam. They call it as Daika. Seem to be closely related. Dayaka, Dayam. They seem to be closely related to each other. So this is what it is. And HVB says, we have to remember the distinction between objective and subjective manifestation or phenomena of these mediumistic exercises. HVB says, we have to remember the distinction between the objective, those which we can see, subjective, those which we can't see. So these manifestations, we should know what is the distinction between the two. What is the major distinction? In one objective manifestation we are able to see, in the subjective manifestation we are not able to see. That's the major difference. So the distinction has to be understood. HBB says we have to remember the distinction between objective, those we can see, subjective, those we cannot see, and these manifestations, these phenomena of these mediumistic exercises. All these exercises are done with the intention of controlling the medium or producing that phenomena using the mediums. So she says we have to remember the distinction between the two. Right. There's something interesting now. The pure medium will attract pure good influences. So we talked about the evil medium, right? Evil medium, Dayaka. We talked about that. Now she is talking about the pure medium will attract pure good influences. Similarly, if the medium is impure, he will attract only such malignant, harmful influences. This is well understood. The pure medium will attract pure good influences. Similarly, if the medium is impure, he will attract the medium. Medium is called he. It could be she also. He will attract only such malignant, harmful influences. Malignant is something which will take the life. That's why it's called malignant. So, this pure spirit will cause good influences. The spirit which is impure will attract only such malignant, harmful influences. The malignant, harmful influences will harm the person and harm others too around him. So the person who is working as a medium, he gets harmed abundantly. The damage cannot be easily understood by us. The person who is subjected to become the medium of an evil spirit gets very badly damaged. So he gets harmed. Not only he gets harmed, but the people around him also get harmed. So this is the problem of the evil spirit. So the pure medium will attract pure good influences. Similarly, if the medium is impure, he will attract only such malignant, harmful influences. So this harmful influences, they will harm the medium and harm others around him. These harmful influences will harm the medium and also harm others. There are a lot of people who have lost their lives because they have been using these spirits. Right. There are both good and evil terrestrial spirits. Having said that, this is the concluding sentence, I guess. There are both good and evil terrestrial spirits. HVB talks about Bro.NC Adelma. Baroness is just a title-like thing. Baronness. Baroness Adelma. Adelma. This is the name of a person. She. It's a lady. HPB talks about Baroness Adelma of Austria. She lived in Austria, this lady. She talks about that person who was a very pure person. This lady, Baroness Adelma, was of Austria, not Australia, Austria, who was a very pure person. She used her mediumistic power to heal the sick and comfort the afflicted. This is what she used, the mediumistic influence. Luckily, because she is pure and she could attract purer spirits. So there are both good and evil terrestrial spirits. HPB talks about Baroness Adelma, Adelma. Baroness is just a title-like thing, Baronness. So she is from Austria, who was a very pure person. So she used her mediumistic influence or power to heal the sick and comfort the afflicted. To the poor, she was an angel, says HPB. To the poor, she was an angel, says HPB. Baroness Adelma was born as Countess. She was from the royal origin. So Baroness Adelma was born as Countess Wurmbrand. 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 That's the place. She is a countess of that place and of Austria. And she is a countess means she is from the royal family. The rich used to recognize her as a phenomena. And few others who saw that she was benefiting a lot of other poor people. She was described as the providence of her neighbors. She was described as the providence of her neighbors. She was only giving this detail, I guess, to drive this point home, that purer persons attract purer spirits. And the purer person can use the mediumistic influence for the benefit of humanity. And what the other persons used to do, simply play with the spirit, try to find out what the future is like and things like that. But here, this madam, Baroness Adelma, she is a pure person and she is talking about how to, HPB is talking about how she used that mediumistic influence to help the poor, heal the sick. So this is what she could do using that power. So it all depends on the attitude of the person, the quality of that person. If he is pure or she is pure, he or she is pure, he can attract the purer medium or spirits. So even in the, wherever they are, the terrestrial spirits also, you have them, people who are good and people who are evil. And everywhere, I guess, we have the same. The good spirits and the evil spirits, they go together. So you can attract the good spirits or pure spirits, provided the person is pure. So here we heard about Baroness Adelma of Austria, who was a very pure person. She used her mediumistic power to heal the sick and comfort the afflicted. And to the poor, she was an angel, says Mme.Blavetsky. She was called an angel by the poor people. Baroness Adelma was born as a countess, Wurmbrand, Wurmbrand. That's the place. She is of a royal origin. The rich used to recognize her as a phenomena, and to few others, poor people who saw that she was benefiting the others, she was described as the providence of her neighborhood. So providence means the good luck of the neighborhood, that she is there. She is able to help a lot of poor people. But the other rich people, they can't say, oh yes, she seems to be having some powers. That's what the other people, rich people, thought. But the poor people who got the benefit out of her mediumistic influences, they called her the providence of her neighborhood. Because she lived there and because she lived in that neighborhood, all the people were taken good care. Right. Now she is talking about spiritualism again. Spiritualists recognize mostly the spirits of the dead. Yes, spiritualists recognize, they don't cater much to the planetary spirits or other nature spirits, etc., etc. But they only take care of, spiritualists recognize mostly spirits of the dead. They deal with that class of spirits, that nature of spirits, which are spirits belonging to the people who have passed away. So they deal with that class of spirits. Mme.Blavetsky says spiritualists do not recognize nature spirits. They don't recognize nature spirits or planetary spirits, etc. HPB says this. Spiritualists recognize mostly the spirits of the dead, and they deal with that class of spirits, is what Madam Blavatsky is saying. Meaning thereby, they are only bothered about tapping the source of the spirits of those people who are dead and known to them. So they deal with that class. They think they're calling the right person who has passed away, say, few years back and things like that. But they don't know some other person is occupying the medium. But that's unfortunate part of it. That's what HPB tried to explain to them. Right. HPB says spiritualists do not recognize nature spirits or planetary spirits. HPB says when Rosicrucians, they are a set of people who believed in spiritual ceremonies and rituals and all that. HPB says when Rosicrucians believed in their time, they must be true now. They believed in certain spirits. Rosicrucians believed in their time in the existence of certain spirits. So if they had believed about the existence of certain spirits then, even now, it must be true. Even now, Rosicrucians are there working. Rosicrucians are working, and we are also having a particular degree where Rosicrucians are part of the ritual. Rosicrucians believe in their time, they must be true even now. So the spirits which existed during Rosicrucians' time are also true now. So the details are like this. Gnomes, gnomes. This is called gnomes. This is how the pronunciation is. Gnomes, gnomes. They are spirits which guard the treasures of the nature, especially earth. Gnomes means spirits which guard the treasures of the nature, especially earth. They are called gnomes. Rosicrucians worked with all these classes of spirits. Next, sylph. 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 The spirits of the air. Spirits of the air. So, then we have salamanders. Salamanders. This is another type of spirit. Salamanders. Spirits of fire. Spirits of fire. And undines. Undines. Undines are spirits of water. So these types of spirits were used, or they were recognized by Rosicrucians, and they used to follow certain rituals. They also used to cure people, heal people, and do a lot of good work. So Rosicrucians believed in the existence of spirits, and when it was true to them, it must be true even now. That's what HPB says. So the details we have just seen. Gnomes, Gnomes, means spirits which guard the treasures of the nature of earth, especially earth. Sylph, Sylph, is the spirits of the air. Salamanders, Salamanders, is spirits of fire. Undines, Undines, are spirits of water. So this is the information we have about Rosicrucians. Then she moves to the Christians. The Christians call them as devils. These spirits, the Christians normally call them as devils or imps of Satan. Saturn, not Saturn, that is Saturn, but Satan. As against Christ, as against God, they have the satanic influence. That is Satan. So the Christians call them as devils, or imps means a part of Satan. Satan. Saturn. Saturn is what normally people pronounce it as Saturn. They say they are made of etheric matter. The Christians believe that these imps of Saturn or devils are made of etheric matter. Not good, not bad. The interference of an external intelligence will make its behavior good or bad. They say, the Christians say, these devils are made of etheric matter. Not good, not bad. The interference of an external intelligence will make its behavior good or bad. They are made of ether, all right, but then some other influence falls on them. Some other influence falls on them. If there is a good influence, it becomes a good. If it is a bad thing, it becomes a bad behavior. 1 second. Sorry for the interruption. People were enjoying outside, so I just told them to tone down. That's the reason. Right. The Christians call these spirits, the nature spirits, the planetary spirits, and so many varieties of them. They call them simply as devils or imps of Saturn. They say they are of etheric matter. They are made of etheric matter. Not good, not bad to begin with. To begin with, you can't classify them as good or bad. But the interference of an external intelligence. The interference of an external intelligence. If some intelligence outside is getting attracted to or working with these etheric matter, then either it becomes good or bad. The behavior of the particular spirit becomes good. If the good intelligence is working in it, it becomes bad. If bad intelligence is working in it. This is what the Christians believe. The Christians believe like this. Clement Alexandrian. She is quoting this person who is again a theogist. Theogist is a person who does rituals and he tries to heal people. He tries to pray for people and all that. So Clement Alexandrian, a theogist and a Neo-Platonist, is also somebody who followed Plato. So Clement Alexandrian, a theologist and a Neo-Platonist, objects for devout Catholics calling them devils. So the Catholics call these spirits as devils. So this Alexandrian, Clement Alexandrian, who is a theologist and also a Neo-Platonist, follower of Plato, objects for devout Catholics and people who are devoted to Catholic system, calling them devils. He is not happy with that. He calls them as inferior angels. I don't know why. If there is a bad influence, how can you call them angel? But Clement says this. Clement Alexandrian says it is not right to call them devils. He calls them as inferior angels, good-natured spirits. This is what he is saying. The powers of these distribute the powers of the elements and cause, help, wind, rain and other elements as such, as if they are subjects of God. See, this is what it is. He says, the Clement Alexandrian says, the inferior angels, they are not devils, but what they do is they are very good-natured spirits. The powers of these, they have got the power to distribute the powers of the elements. You have fire, you have earth, you have all those things which you just read some time back. The earth, water, air, etc. Fire. So these spirits, these nature spirits who are called the inferior angels, they work to distribute the elemental powers. And they cause the distribution, they help, and all these elements get distributed. As if God is distributing, as agents of God, these inferior angels distribute the powers of elements, of fire, water, air, etc. This is what Clement Alexandrian is saying. He says it's wrong to call them devils. They are inferior angels. They do the work of distributing the powers of the elements, not elementals, elements, fire, water, air, etc. So as such, they are subjects of God. Subjects of God means the people, God and God's assistants. That's what he meant. Few others, like Origen, he's another person who was a theologist and an old Christian. Few others like Origen and Porphyry. This is another name of the person. Origen is Origen and Porphyry. That's the other name of another person. So these are also Christians. Both of them, along with Clement Alexandrian, they say they agree with Clement's observations. Clement has a different observation than what the Christians believe. Rosicrucians also believe that the good work is done by these spirits. But Christians believe they brand away all the spirits as devils, whereas Clement Alexandrian went in and said they are not devils. It is not right to call them devils. They are perhaps the inferior angels when they are good-natured spirits. So if they're bad-natured spirits, perhaps he calls them also as devil. But he's talking about good-natured spirits. They are inferior angels. Angels who are of a different variety. So inferior variety, not the superior variety. So they are the people who work and distribute the powers of the elements, 5 elements. So they help, they cause. So all this is possible, and they are subjects of God. They are the people who assist God in this work, or spirits working with God. So they are working with God or assist their subjects. Like there is a king and all of us are supposed to be subjects. We are ruled by him. So we are called subjects. So similarly, God and these spirits are subjects. That's how it is. So others like Origen, Origen, and Porphyry, Porphyry, agree with Clement's observations. Clement Alexandrian observations are right, is what Origen also is saying. Now, HVB is saying something interesting. This is interesting because HVB says, she's talking about the orangutan. I believe this is one of the most developed ape which is available in the forests of Africa. It's a chimpanzee-like or something superior to chimpanzee. HVB says the African apes like orangutan, Orangoutang. So how you pronounce is your take. Orangutan. This is the name of the ape. HPB says the African apes like orangutan, which are intelligent, little less than savage man, can also be the reason for a spiritualistic phenomena. So we are all still talking about the spiritualistic phenomena which is taking place in the seance room. Who are capable of producing these? Who can do all this without being seen, how the table is moving or how some objects are moving and things like that. So HPB now is talking about the African apes like orangutan, orangutan, which are intelligent, little less than savage man. So savage man, if you give them intelligence, little less than that is this ape, orangutan, right? This ape can also be the reason for a spiritualistic phenomena. How? How can ape work as a person who will move things? We'll see that now. Sometimes pet dogs, after their death, appeared as apparitions. Apparition is again another form of a devil. You don't have a very clear form, but apparently it looks like the same old dog. That's why it's called apparition. Again, in Telugu we can say it is called Dayam or the Bhuta. Sometimes pet dogs, after their death, appeared as apparitions. Such animals do appear to be having the ability to become a spirit, but we have to understand that these are played by elementals. These are tried and played by the elementals. So this is talking about orangutan. We are not completely about him. In between, she talked about these pet dogs. Even pet dogs, after their death, appeared as apparitions. So even those apparitions, perhaps they push. This is perhaps a suggestion there. Such animals do appear to be having the ability to become a spirit. Even the animals have got the ability to become the spirit. We have to understand that these are tricks played by the elementals. Actually, though we say, the text says, the apparitions of the dog, perhaps that is pushing. But actually, it is not the apparition of dog which is putting, but some mischievous elementals, they occupy that and they do the trick. That's what it means. So such animals do appear to be having the ability to become a spirit, but we have to understand that these are tricks played by elementals. Elementals, we know, the hovering in the terrestrial area just above the earth. So those elementals not only occupy a human body if they're invited, or if some invitation is going to them, they can also get into the apparition of a dog, for that matter. So that is how we see a dead dog moving or apparition moving. Actually, it's not possible is what later on the book says, but then to give it and to talk about orangutan, she also talked about pet dogs. Right. Now we'll get back to, in case of orangutan, it may not have immortal body. Why it doesn't have immortal body? Because it has got a group soul. So in the case of orangutan, it is because an animal, it only has the astral body and the physical body. It has no soul. The soul is a group soul. So it cannot have immortal body. So in the case of orangutan, it may not have immortal body because it has a group soul. It may be having an astral body and a physical body. So this is what orangutan is all about. That finer, not visible, can also appear and cause a phenomena. Even astral is something which you cannot see with our naked eyes. The astral is also something which we cannot see with our naked eyes. So the astral form, finer astral form, not visible to our eyes, can be there into that seance room and move the objects. That is what is being discussed. Orangutan is an animal. Animal has no immortal body because it has got a group soul. But it has got a physical body which is dead, and after the physical body, it has got the astral body. That astral body, though it is astral in nature, we will not be able to see that because our eyes cannot see the astral nature of that body of the orangutan. So that astral finer matter not visible to us can also appear and cause a phenomena. So that also can push the table. That's what it means. The animal's astral body also can come and take part in the phenomena. So this is how she is saying what all are the possibilities for the phenomena to take place. Right. The mental faculties of savage man. The mental faculties of savage man. She is comparing because orangutan is intelligent, little less than the savage man is the first initial remark. So she is going back to that topic. The mental faculties of a savage man are slightly better than the apes. The mental faculties of savage man are slightly better than apes. And then she's talking about Mr. Wallace. Mr. Wallace is again another philosopher, and he says, he's also a biologist, he says the apes can previsit any dangers, meaning the apes can have a prevision of the dangers which are likely to come in the future. They can see that. Maybe they can run away from that place or the scene where there is going to be a difficult situation. So the apes, Mr. Wallace says, can previsit, means visit, previsit. They see the danger coming. So they see the danger coming, so they go away from that place. So Mr. Wallace says the apes can previsit any dangers that are likely to hit them. that are likely to hit them. So they can take evasive action. That much intelligent they are. That's what he says. The apes elect a leader. The apes elect a leader and obey him. This also I have seen in a movie, that the ape, there is a leader for that, there is a king-like person for that, and they follow that particular person. So the apes elect a leader and obey him. So this is what an orangutan can do. The apes can build their living sleeping chambers. So they can also do, like a man can build his own house, the apes also can build their own living and sleeping chambers. They have power more than the instinct of other animals. They have the brain power more than the instinct of other animals. Other animals function only because there is instinct in them, whereas the ape, especially the orangutan she talked about, it functions better than the animals which functions with the instinct. So this is what she is saying. Wallace is saying, and HPB is quoting Mr. Wallace. They have power more than the instinct of other animals. Such spirits of apes can also cause the phenomena which spiritualists are familiar with. So spiritualists are familiar with various phenomena. They only think that the dead man, whoever was dead, his spirit is coming and doing the work. But there are so many agencies which are taking place. A dead dog can come, an ape can come, a terrestrial spirit can come, and nature spirits can come, the planetary spirits can come. So many varieties of people get into that room and move, create manifestations, move the tables or move whatever the objects that are there. In fact, turn the table upside down. All these things can be done. Only table is being discussed, but maybe we can talk about anything in that room, whatever is there. But the evil spirits, the influence which is there on the medium, that person gets affected, and also people who are around that person also get affected. People who attend these seances also get affected. That's what it means. So this is the story of the spirits, and we have interestingly read about the ape called orangutan, which is similar to the variety of chimpanzee, but intelligent, little less than savage man, and it can also be the reason for spiritualistic phenomena. How? Before going to that, she talked about pet dogs. After their death, appeared as apparitions. Such animals do appear actually to be having the ability to become a spirit. But we have to understand that these are the tricks played by the elementals. The elementals enter that particular body or apparitions of a dead dog and they move. So that's how the elementals work there. In case of orangutan, it may not have immortal body because it has got a group soul. It has only an astral body and a physical body. Physical body is dead, and the astral body, we are not able to see the astral body. So the astral body also can travel there into the seance room and push the objects. So it can be the cause for a phenomena to take place. So talking about the mental faculties of a savage man's mental capabilities are better than that of apes. So here Mr. Wallace says, a biologist and a philosopher, the apes can previsit any dangers that are likely to hit them. So this is the quality of the mind which they have, or the brain they have. So this is what he is talking about. The apes elect a leader and obey him. This is also there. They can elect a leader and obey his call. And the apes can build their living and sleeping chambers. And they have power more than the instinct of other animals. Other animals work with instinct, whereas ape have bigger power, bigger power than the instinct. Such spirits of apes also can cause the phenomena which spiritualists are familiar with. Apes are not there in the higher worlds. Why? It has already been said once. Apes are not there in the higher worlds as they have no souls. S-O-U-L-S. There is no individual soul for it. There is a group soul. So they have no immortal body. That's what it is being talked about. So, but apes have intelligence, and it is 1 degree less than that of a savage man. apes have intelligence, and it is only 1 degree less than that of a savage man. HPB says, so that's the end of the story of the ape, orangutan. And now HPB says, materialists do not sanction a soul even to man. HPB says, materialists do not sanction a soul even to man. That means animals anyway don't have a soul, is what materialists say. Even man has no soul, is what materialists are talking about, is what HPB is saying. HPB says, materialists, people who believe materialism, they're called materialists, they do not sanction, means they don't okay the presence of a soul even in a man. So if there is no soul in a man, definitely they will not accept that there is a soul for an animal. So this is what it is. Animal and man both have no souls, is what they opine. Animal and man both have no souls, is what they opine. So this is the feeling, or this is the understanding, or this is the belief of materialists. Right. The physical death, according to them, destroys everything. Materialists believe the physical death which takes place for an animal or for a man, that destroys everything. Everything is removed. There is no soul. The body goes, everything goes. That's what they believe. According to them, everything is destroyed at the physical death. Nothing remains, is what the materialists say. Nothing remains means there is no soul, neither for the man nor for the animal. So at the point of death, the physical death, the entire thing is destroyed. There is nothing which is remaining. That's what the materialists believe. Nothing remains, is what materialists say. The ancients believed man is a trinity. This is a philosophy which all the Hebrews held, all the Kabbalists held, everybody believed in this. The ancients believed man is a trinity. Physical body, astral spirit or soul, and the immortal spirit or soul. These are the 3 divisions of the ancients. Now we say, according to the Theosophical parlance, there are 7 principles in man. But then, at that point of time, the ancients, they had only 3 principles. Man is a trinity. The body, the astral spirit or soul, or the immortal spirit or soul. The animal has a physical body and an astral spirit animating or moving it. The animal has a physical body and an astral spirit animating and moving it. It has no soul. Immortal soul is not there. Both men and animals are identical in essence. This is something which we have heard a number of times, a number of platforms of the Theosophical literature. Both men and animals are identical in essence as far as the formation of matter goes. What is the matter which makes a man? What is the matter which makes an ox? Is one and the same. That's what they say. The atoms of an ox and the atoms of man are identical, same, says Theosophy 2. So, shall we stop here? 308? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
So we have, especially about the orangutan is very interesting. What we read about orangutan and Mervin's various observations and how these phenomena take place, what are all the spirits which can get into the seance room and make the manifestation or movement of the tables or objects taking place. So we have seen all this. So still we are with the spiritualistic phenomena. Spiritualistic phenomena. So we're still with that. It's very difficult to shake off that, I guess, as far as this book goes. She goes back to that spiritualism and what contains the spiritualism, what exactly moves the objects and all that. We're visiting that again and again. Yes, now you can supplement or add or anything. Choice is yours.
శోభా అంటే మీరు ఏమన్నా చెప్తున్నారా అంటే?
దీంట్లో మనకు ఒక క్లియర్ ఐడియా ఉంది సార్. శ్రీయాంశరం గురించి చాలా క్లియర్ గా ఇచ్చారు. ఏమేం జరుగుతాయి, ఏంటి, ఈ భూతాలు, దెయ్యాలు, లేకపోతే ఎవరో ఏదో చేస్తున్నారు అనే దాని మీద ఆవిడ చాలా సార్లు మెన్షన్ చేస్తున్నారు.
అవును, ఈ పుస్తకంలో చాలా సార్లు చెప్పింది.
అవును,
ఫస్ట్ చాప్టర్ లోంచి చెప్తోంది స్పిరిచువలిజం అంటే ఏమిటి, ఈ స్పిరిట్స్ ఎలా మూవ్ చేస్తాయి. Of course, the example given is always the table, but anything can be moved by them. Anything can be moved by them. Any object can be moved by them.
అంటే ఈ మూఢ విశ్వాసాల్లో ప్రజలు ఉన్నారు కాబట్టి వాళ్ళని బయటపడేయాలని ఇన్నిసార్లు ఆవిడ గట్టిగా చెప్తున్నారేమో.
కరెక్టే కదా. People should know this is not the real thing. In fact, that is the reason why she said that this is not the way to look at these things. There is another way to look at these innate powers of man అని చెప్పింది. That's when Theosophical Society was born.
ఇది ఓరంగుటాన్ని కూడా చాలా కొత్త విషయాలు సార్, ఇది కూడా తెలియదు నాకు కూడా.
అవునవును, అంటే we know it's very intelligent, all right. We know it's very intelligent. Chimpanzee also is very intelligent, but the only thing is maybe it cannot talk like a man. But సినిమాలో చూపిస్తున్నారు, అది కూడా మాట్లాడుతున్నట్టు చూపిస్తున్నారు. In some of the movies I've seen, the ape also talks. But actually the only difficulty is the ape cannot talk. The savage man can produce sounds. Savage man also has no language at that point of time. In the beginning he also didn't have a language.
అంటే ఇది apes అవి previsit the dangers coming to them. అది interesting.
That is something interesting because they have got that. See, even dogs have that sort of a vision, isn't it?
Yes.
మన ఇంటి దగ్గర ఎదురుకుండా మా ఇంటి దగ్గర బోర్డు ఉన్నాయి, 60-70 కుక్కలు ఉన్నాయి, ఊరు కుక్కలు. They keep on shouting right through the night. What is that they see? We don't know. They see something which we can't see.
అవును సార్, చిన్నప్పుడు చెప్పేవాళ్ళు దయ్యాలు కనిపిస్తుంటే అట్లా మరుగుతాయి అని చెప్పేవాళ్ళు.
They can see the movement of various other final beings. Even dogs can do that. So why can't orangutan? Orangutan can see some danger is going to come in the place where she is living or he is living. Orangutan will leave that place because they know what danger is likely to come. They leave that place.
చాలా వరకు యానిమల్స్ ఆ ఇన్స్టింక్ట్ ఉంటుందేమో కదా సార్.
Yes, instinct. ఎందుకు మనం రోడ్డు మీద వెళితే కిందికి వంగితేనే పారిపోతాయి కదా కుక్కలు.
అవును,
కిందికి వంగి ఈవెన్ ఇఫ్ ఐఎమ్ ఓన్లీ ట్రైంగ్ టు టై మై షూ లేస్ అనుకుందాం, ఆర్ రాయి నా చెప్పులో పడితే తీసేస్తున్నాం అనుకుందాం, అది పరిగెడుతుంది కుక్క. ఎందుకు కొడతామని. కిందికి వంగాడు మనిషి అంటే కొడతాడు అని భయపడి పారిపోతుంది. అదే ఇన్స్టింక్ట్ కదా. ఆ ఇన్స్టింక్ట్ వల్లే తప్పించుకుంటుంది అది.
అప్పుడు కూడా సునామీ టైంలో కూడా యానిమల్స్ ఏవి చనిపోలేదు అన్నారు కదండి.
అవును, కరెక్ట్. అవును. అండ్ ఇప్పుడు ఈ కుక్కలను పట్టుకుపోయే వాళ్ళు వస్తారు కదా లారీలో. హౌ దిస్ సెన్స్ వి డు నాట్ నో. ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళి నక్కుతాయి ఇవి. దే విల్ నాట్ బి సీన్. జస్ట్ టైమ్ ద వ్యాన్ ఇస్ గాన్, ఇట్ వోంట్ కమ్ అవుట్. ది డాగ్స్ వోంట్ కమ్ అవుట్. ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళి దాక్కుంటాయో తెలియదు. సో animals have got this power. మీకు తెలుస్తుందా? Suppose I am going onto the road, I will not know, I will not be able to guess what's going to happen.
మనకంటే జంతువుల్లో ఎక్కువ డిస్ప్లే అవుతుంది. ఎందుకంటే they have only that instinct. There is no other knowledge for them.
మన బ్రెయిన్ ఇచ్చాడు, ఆలోచన ఇచ్చాడు, మనసు ఇచ్చాడు. కాబట్టి మేము వేరియస్ వాటికి వాడుకుంటున్నాం కాబట్టి ఆ ఫైనల్ థింగ్స్ తెలియట్లే మనకి.
అవునవును, అది మన కృత్రిమ జ్ఞానం ఇన్స్టింక్ట్ ని కప్పివేస్తుంది చాలా వరకు అని నేను అనుకుంటున్నాను. ఇట్ ఈస్ బర్డెన్డ్ విత్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ క్రియేటెడ్ నాలెడ్జ్ బై ద హ్యూమన్ రేస్. మనకి
ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ మన దగ్గర కాబట్టి ఏది కావాలో అది లేదు, ఏది రావాలో అది రాదు.